All right. Well, we'd like to welcome everybody on out to another edition of the Apex Show and Sell at the Peak live stream. This is with Joe and Megan Hobbs. Super excited to have them on there. Welcome out, guys. How are you doing?
Good, real good. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Riker.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, want to remind the audience real quick this is live. You can ask any questions that you want, and we can see those by you just typing them right into the comments. So, if you have any questions for Joe or Megan or myself, feel free to put them in there and we'll answer them to the best of our abilities. So, well, guys, I'm super excited to have you out. Obviously, you brought some killers last year. Looking forward to what you're bringing. We got a little bit of a preview in store for everybody. But tell us a little bit, first of all, your story. How did Hobbs Show Lambs get started?
I've always had some use, to be honest. After my first couple of years in the 4-H project, in showing weathers, I decided that having some ewes would be fun to mess with too. And so through high school, college, and then shortly after, had anywhere from 10 to 20 ewes, and escalated that probably about 2006 or 7. Had 30 or 40, got a group from Donnie Bagalka that was really good. And then Megan and I met probably, 2009. And she found someone that would allow her to buy sheep and raise them for her. And at that point, I figured, well, here we go. So the flock has grown, just at a steady rate since then, really.
Awesome. So 4-H got you started, and now you're here. That's cool. So tell us, what are you guys super excited about in your program right now? Whether it's rams or bucks, or something you want to talk about, rams or bucks. I don't need to say that twice, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's probably two things that we're really excited about, and that's the rams that we've raised this year, the ram lambs that we're going to have in our stud this breeding season coming up, along with Thunder buck lamb that we raised last year, that we're going to be bringing 2 offspring to Apex, and has had really good reception of his lambs at live sales. But the 2 buck lambs that we're excited about to put in the stud is Monarch. He's a Saban rank, and then Quicksilver, which is a Saban Crow. And so both of those come out of our donor program. And I would say that's the second thing that we're really excited about. Is one of the things that we've been doing is building our donor program from a base of really young ewes. There's 2 approaches that you can take to building a donor program. You can keep flushing those same ewes over and over, but we roll the dice each year. We're not gamblers, but we're gamblers every time it comes to those flush days, because we put virgin yearlings, we put ewes that have won shows, or ewes that we've purchased, elite ewes that we've purchased back into that donor program to try to make the best of the best. And I think that Monarch and Quicksilver really show and highlight that. And then when we look at, Thunder came out of the same program like that last year as well. And so we're really excited about the donor set that we have this year. We're going to flush some come in May, which is new. And then we're going to start selling fresh semen come May too for that fall group out of Thunder. And so we can really start getting him out there.
Awesome. Yeah, that Thunder, the lambs I've been seeing out of them online, haven't seen any in person, unfortunately. But the online pictures, they sure look cool. So
well, we're bringing 2 to you.
Yes, I get to see them in person. Awesome. So, let's see here. Let's kind of roll down here. Let's sneak through this slideshow that I've got up and running. So we got all 3 here. Maybe just give us your thoughts on each of these entries.
Sure. The lot 83 is our buck lamb entry for the Apex this year. He's a Thunder out of a Bullseye ewe. The Bullseye ewe is actually one that did really as much winning as we've had a sheep do, at least through her show career. She was the reserve champion commercial ewe the first year they had that female show at the North American in Louisville, and ended up the champion weather dam at San Antonio the following spring. So this would be actually from the first flush group that we've had out of her, one of the first progeny. And we thought the sheep was really unique, not only for his correctness of build and width and muscle shape and ruggedness of bone, but like Thunder, he's also FF. So to find that kind of mass and masculinity in a sheep that doesn't carry the dwarf gene, we think is quite valuable. So we're excited to bring him out and show him off.
Yeah, that is awesome. I love a good FF sheep that has this kind of muscling to them. You know, that's the kind you want to AI to right there. So
yeah, hopefully.
All right, let's slide on over to the next one.
The lot 179 ewe is a Thunder, and she's out of a Dirty Banana donor ewe that we bought from Brian Johnson a few years ago. That particular ewe we got as a mature ewe, and the first year she was here, she raised the grand champion at the Kansas Junior Livestock Show. Simultaneously, Brian didn't have a mature ewe sale the following year, so we couldn't go back and buy any more. So I thought, well, we know we got one that works, we'll flush her, and have been flushing her since. She always raises really high quality sheep, and Thunder worked really well. This is actually a flush mate to an $8,000 ewe lamb that we sold at the main event. And we think this one is just as good. There's a handful of sisters that we're keeping also, so it's not like we're trying to get rid of them. We just want to make sure we highlighted that group because we think they're really, really unique.
Yeah, you guys must be following the advice that the judge gave to bring ones that you would like to keep.
Right. Yep.
We're not driving to Utah just for to have fun.
yeah. No, there's some serious business going on here. And
well, I shouldn't say I'm not driving anywhere.
Yeah.
The scenery's nice, but yeah.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. All right. And then the Blue Beauty.
Yeah, we figured we'd bring something just a little bit of a change of pace. We got a really nice set out of Chief, the Unicorn Son from Chance Neff. This one's a Chief out of a rank daughter. Super shapely, really opened up in terms of her rib cage and body. It's still shallow chested and good lined, and I think will make somebody a really, really nice show ewe. And then certainly add some big time pieces to anybody's flock or potential donor program down the road.
Absolutely. And the Chiefs have been way good. Way good from what I've seen.
Yeah, we're really happy with what that buck did for us in our December group.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So now we're kind of entering the rapid fire question. We're hoping to get you to be a little bit sentimental here with some of these questions. So, what is the favorite sheep that you've raised?
We both get hands.
You want to go first?
You go first.
Okay, I've got a couple. We'll see what Megan comes up with. So Thunder's mom is a ewe we called Caroline, or call Caroline. She's still here, still a donor we're flushing. Probably the best road rage daughter that we raised. Road rage meant a lot, or means a lot to our program, and that ewe has had a really illustrious show career. I think she's the only sheep. I mean, there might have been a county fair champion that never got shown and won his county, and that was it. But she went to lots and lots of shows and was never beaten, including our state fair, a bunch of big jackpots, the Kansas Junior Livestock Show. A doubleheader in Vernal out there in 2017. So she's special, and now that she's in production and making the kind of sheep that we like, she's actually where the moderate, wide-chested, big rib, big muscled, correct skeleton FF is coming from. Like she was the original as far as I could tell in our flock. For a sheep that was made like that was dwarf gene free. So that'd be my pick.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say Caroline too, but I would maybe say Tammy. Tammy was the ewe that won, or that was reserved at Louisville, and then won San Antonio last year for the Sandy family. We watched that ewe kind of go from skin and bones all the way to backdrops at many shows, and now to see what she's doing in the donor program and just to see her grow out. She was pretty special because that was one of our, first, I would say, wins where we've really followed it through in Texas, in terms of, being close to the family and watching it go from one show to the next and knowing that we had something special. And so excited for her and what she's going to do, and her offspring, and we're taking one to the Apex.
Awesome. So I love that you guys both mentioned foundational females in your flock. What can you maybe give us a little bit more insight into how important those females are to your operation?
Yeah, it's been interesting. Growing up, there were like there is now a bunch of predominant breeders, flocks, what have you, in the country, and it took a little bit of time. But now we can say over the past probably 5 to 7 years, we've settled in on our own sort of matriarchs, if you will, the ewe lines that some of those breeders that have been doing this for decades talk about. And you can see the offspring out of those daughters, granddaughters, great granddaughters. You can see so much resemblance to their predecessors in terms of their build, the quality of sheep that they raise, the kind of muscle shape, the kind of body design that they have. And it's been probably the last 3 or 4 years where some of our, people that are a little bit newer to the game, but folks that have become real good friends and customers might comment about the Hobbs look of that sheep, or they have some sort of adjectives that they would attach to our sheep in general. And I feel like that's coming from the strength of those high quality females for sure.
Yeah, I hear that all the time. You hear it over and over again. Females are fundamental to these breeding programs, and I think you just highlighted it right there. Seeing it throughout your herd, the influence they have. It's every bit as important as the males, and sometimes people can kind of forget that, I think. So, all right, next question: most memorable livestock show that you've been to?
It's a tie for me. The first one is when Nancy Hilda and I went to Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. We came home to an absolute snowstorm. So this was when we lived in Iowa, and Charlie lived in College Station. So we went down to see him, and we came home to a snowstorm so bad that we had to park our car, and Joe had to pick us up and tell us not to watch the road because it's going to be pretty dangerous getting home over the hills. And then I would say the tie for me is, I think most everybody knows, but we've been very involved in putting on the show in Reno. And just the amount of money that we were able to raise and give back, and the reception that, the kids, the families, everybody having fun, being thankful for the event that we put on. I think that was pretty memorable because people still talk about it, and it was like something new out of the box, not just another livestock show and sale or show that you might go to. So something hopefully we can keep going in the future to make it even more memorable, not just for us putting it on, but for all the kids that come. And every kid that came left there with money and left there with prizes, regardless of how they placed. So I think that's pretty cool.
That is cool. That is cool. All right, Joe, your turn.
So obviously, any of the shows that our sheep have done well at, are really rewarding, and to be there and experience that with your customers is great. When you said that, though, I thought of a moment, I guess, at a show. There wasn't anything necessarily special about the show, but it was shortly after Megan and I had first met. And I'll tell the story for anyone that knows Megan will get a kick out of this. It was at the Sioux Empire Farm Show. I think it would have been.
You were late.
Exactly. Yeah. She knew exactly what I was talking about. She lived in Wichita at the time, drove all the way to Sioux Falls with a family. Of course, made it on time, was helping get their sheep ready. I lived just a couple hours away, and managed to be probably 45 minutes late to the show. And I walk in to the building and approaching the ring. She's up by the ring, and she just looks at her watch, looks back at me, and taps it as if to say, where the heck you been? At the time, I probably didn't read the extent to the foreshadowing that would exist for the next however many years in our lives. But she's never been coy about who she is and the things that she thinks are important. So
Be on time.
every day, absolutely.
That's an awesome story. That's an awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, next question. What are your hobbies outside of sheep?
Oh my gosh. Well, pretty much our life revolves around sheep, or my job at Cargill. I would say, one of the things that we do every year is we take a vacation, and we jokingly call it our shareholders meeting.
There you go.
We try to go someplace. It never fails. It's the exact time every year. It's, the end of October, when we're not lambing, or we're done lambing and we don't have very many ewes to breed still. But we take a vacation. We try to stop thinking about the farm. We like trying new food, just new experiences to places that we haven't been. This last year we went to Maine and Boston and that East Coast there in the fall foliage. So that was that. What else do we do?
Yeah.
We entertain a lot, but that's normally with our sheep friends.
Right. Well, and that's what I was going to say is it's neat, I can say at times raising the sheep and running the farm feels like work, but if we weren't able to do this, as a business real seriously, we'd still have sheep, right? And we'd still want to work with the families that we do, and we're fortunate to be able to be in touch with as many customers as we are, and that just sort of starts to flesh out the rest of your life and the things that you enjoy, and you're spending time with those people at shows and whatever, where even if you didn't have a dog in the fight, you might still go to that state fair or go visit those folks in that part of the country. So that's really fun. Yeah. I like to read. I like to travel, like Megan said, but a lot of it's sheep and sheep related things.
Yeah, that's a comment we've gotten from a lot of the Apex at the Peak participants. They've mentioned, that the people that you interact with are just the salt of the earth, and it makes it all worth it. Whether you're making money or losing money, it's fun to get out there and interact with some of the best folks around. So,
and I would say that's how we've made friends across the U.S. because of that. But we've also built new markets because of that. Just by going and interacting, like there's a particular, sector of the U.S. that we invested a lot of time in before we ever sold a sheep out there. And I think that because of that investment, it's paid off. It's built friendships. It's built, a new customer base that we've never had before. Some of our closest sheep friends or closest customers today are like family, and it's been because of that market that they are that way.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. You ready for the next question? Here we go.
Sure.
What's a day in the life for you guys?
Well, I wake up early, and so it involves me hitting Joe because he's snoring, telling him to roll over. That's how the day gets started. I would say, we talk about being the yin and the yang, like I am the early morning riser, and Joe is the stays up late. And, but I would say our life has kind of changed a little bit because we've had interns living with us. We don't have kids. But through our internship program, we let them live with us. And this year we have, or this spring semester, we have 2 living with us. So that's a little bit different, I would say, in the day in the life. So just a quick rundown, then you can talk about what your day looks like. But I get up, do whatever I need to do from a Hobbs Show Lambs social media standpoint, send off emails, and then I go to work in Wichita, which is about 35 minutes away for my job. And typically whenever I come home, we look at sheep if we need to, or go check on cell sheep. But we try to be done and shut down about 6:30 every night. So Joe can have some type of separation between, the house and home life versus his work life. Because us that have the opportunity to work off the farm, we do have that separation. So you get just that mental peace. And that's one of the things that we try to do. I cook and he cleans, which is a great setup. So I try to come home and have dinner ready by 7 or so. What's your day look like? I want to know too.
Yeah. It depends a lot on what time of year it is and what's happening in terms of the sheep production cycle, if you will. Most recently, we've been very fortunate that we get a lot of people that are able and want to come to the farm to look at the sheep, right? So that helps a lot. And having a couple of the kids around in training them to do a lot of the day-to-day things frees me up to either show people sheep or try and move things forward in one direction or another. But we try and get up early, and I've been criticized for maybe just grunting a couple times after brushing my teeth and leaving to go check the barn, which, it's not necessarily the best husband type behavior. So try and visit a little bit, get a game plan together for the day, maybe hit the computer if there's any urgent things that need taken care of. And then I get to go outside to the barn. So we take care of chores, try in the morning to well, first of all, take care of any of the emergency type stuff, right? You always have to try and tell Megan when we're doing chores, you have to be a little bit flexible in terms of how long that's going to take, right? It's going to be your best opportunity morning and night to observe the sheep, see if anything's wrong, anything needs treated, any problems with the facility, anything like that. So it may not be just a real fixed amount of time that takes, but after any of those emergencies might be handled, then we've got some sort of routine, whether it's, today we're shearing, today we're picturing, today we need to trim feet or vaccinate or whatever, do those type of things. And then hopefully at some point in the day, I get a chance to start moving something forward, right? Like you've taken care of what the sheep's needs are for today, or the facility or the business or whatever. And I try and think of it like, now we can shift gears a little bit, move something forward, whether it's, a building project, going to look at some other sheep, going to, collaborate with someone, making some extra phone calls, following up with some customers, that kind of stuff. How are you going to make something better? Because it's real easy, as you guys know, when you get in the mind frame of taking care of the livestock, it's a little bit trickier to shift gears and think about the business and what does the business need and the customers need and things like that. So
yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. All right. What's the best piece of advice that you could give someone or that you have been given?
It's easy for me. 2 things. Hire a house cleaner and hire somebody to take your pictures.
Okay.
It's marriage saving.
You mentioned that who does the cooking and who does the cleaning?
I do the cooking, Joe does the cleaning.
Okay. My wife and I are in a bad habit where we both cook and neither one of us cleans. So we maybe need a little bit more yin and yang to that. Yeah. She's probably cussing me downstairs with the baby right now. But yes. Okay. And Joe, what's the best advice you could give or have received?
I always, I've heard it from a number of people over the course of my life, try and remain open-minded, in all aspects of life, whether it's, with respect to your sheep or your family life or anything. I mean, I think we can walk through this world, and the fewer decisions we've got made ahead of time, the better off we're going to be. Try and take it all in, digest as much as you can, ask questions about what you don't understand, so you can make a good decision going forward. So that's what I try and do, is just keep an open mind, make a good choice, and live with the consequences, whether they're good or bad. If you're honest about addressing everything in that way, you'll be better off in the end.
It's great advice. Thanks for sharing. All right. Name someone who's helped you get to where you are.
Dwayne Hurlman. I had the chance to work for Dwayne while I was at Oklahoma State. And he took me underneath his wing for the 5.5 years that I was there. So it was kind of my second home away from home. Spent every free weekend I had, got to meet, people that are Ram partners today, people that are customers today. We had the opportunity to own a few bucks with Dwayne, and he really, at that time, I don't know that, he probably realized what he was teaching me, but now some of those same things, I'm even getting on Joe like, hey, we better hand breed, because that's what we used to do at Dwayne's, and so things that I learned there, even though I may not be the shepherd or be out in the barn every day, like we've implemented those here. And not only, was Dwayne somebody that really, I think, helped me, but he's been a good friend and just like a good life coach, and almost like a second dad while I was there even whenever I worked in Arkansas and was still close, like we still remained in touch. And I still talk to him all the time about him running dogs and not being in the sheep. So definitely well worth the investment that he made in me early.
He might be smarter than the rest of us getting into the dogs. All right, Joe.
Yeah, I thinking back over the last probably 5 or 10 years, Barrett Carlisle's been a really good friend of mine, and we see a lot of this, this business very similarly, as well as a whole host of things in life. And if Megan and I aren't able to, get in contact or talk about a particular issue, she's in Norway or wherever, Barrett's the next call. He's really good about hearing me out and, sounding board for ideas. And I feel like we like a similar kind of sheep, so I trust his opinion, and his friendship's meant a lot over the last number of years.
Perfect. All right, we're coming down to it. Last question, then we'll kind of wrap it up by talking about what you guys have coming up. So last question is, what is a goal that you have as breeders?
Yeah, so Megan hit on I think a lot of progressive breeders would tell you you're trying to make some livestock unlike maybe what we've seen before, right? Make some special ones, valuable ones through sales. The really high quality kind that are going to get to the backdrop, very frequently. I feel like the biggest challenge in doing some of that is keeping the rest of the flock in what you would describe as sound livestock, the sound livestock category, right? Because we can turn the bells and whistles too high and worry about some of the things that make them really striking in one way or another, and forget about some of the fundamental things that make good animals work for people. And it's fun to raise the one that gets to the backdrop or sells for a bunch of money, but all the siblings and all of the maternal sibs and parents and grandparents need to not only be able to work for us, but we're selling those seed stock also, and they need to be able to work for the customers that purchase them. So being able to help move other programs forward, not only our own, but to make sheep that work for other people in their programs too.
Perfect. All right, Megan, your turn.
Yeah, I was, thinking about, I don't know. I think, building those relationships with customers for the first time that are new customers, and continuing to grow and build upon that. Because they obviously invest in Hobbs Show Lambs for some reason that made them want to come here or buy something from us. And so, the more that we can invest back in them, and typically it's myself or Joe staying in contact with them and seeing them grow and how we help them, maybe not only from just a sheep standpoint, but in life in general. I mean, some of the kids that show for us, they started out just buying regular sheep, and now that we've helped them like come along, or they're part of another team, when they became friends, it doesn't matter how they do in the show ring. Like, they're our friends at the end of the day, and whenever they walk out, and having that as, it doesn't, we like to sell sheep for high dollars. We like to have the perception that, hey, we were the best at that sale. And, we always joke, like, engagement for me is making sure that we're taking the best of the best to sell. But at the end of the day, like, the customers make your operation enjoyable, and what those look like and who they are, and ensuring that you can go to bed at night knowing that you did the right thing, and building that customer relationship, making it better, making them better. That, I would say, at the end of the day, is the ultimate goal, in terms of, I say this at Cargill, without customers, we don't have paychecks. Without customers in the sheep business, we don't have Hobbs Show Lambs. And so treating people right, doing it the right way, and knowing that it's more about them, it's not about them just getting a purple banner, right? It's about building friendships that'll last a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for answering those questions, letting us get to know you a little bit better. We're going to conclude, but first thing, I want to ask, do you have any, besides the set that you're bringing to the Apex, any online sales you want to talk about real quick?
Yeah, we have a nice group of February weather selling April 12th on SC Online Sales. That'll be the next thing.
Yeah, and we're going to do another click to claim semen sale with all the rams that we have put up frozen here that same week. And then we'll be at the corporation and at the Dynamic Divas.
Okay, perfect. Well, guys, thank you for coming out. We want to just remind everybody that the Apex show is April 8th. You can come and see the Hobbs sheep in person, see the Thunders in person like Riker's going to do. And if you can't be there, though, we understand. Show Barn Flicks is available, and they will be streaming on their platform and also through our Facebook page. So feel free to watch the show there. The sale is April 9th. It's in Spanish Fork, Utah. And online bidding is available through CCI Live. And also, last but not least, the online catalog is available at SC Online Sales. It should go up any minute now. So it's either going to go up this evening or tomorrow morning. So look for that. We have a bunch of outstanding sheep making their way to the Apex this year. And I'm super excited for the set we've got coming. Super excited for the set that Joe and Megan are bringing, and looking forward to it. Somebody's trying to sneak in. Steve Barton says, Joe, Jimmy Johns is on me this weekend.
Perfect, buddy. Sounds good.
Sounds good. So, Jimmy Johns fan, huh?
Absolutely. You bet.
They make good food.
Because he orders 2 sandwiches, not just one. So it's going to be expensive, Steve.
Yeah, with that inflation, it's going to cost Steve a pretty penny.
Yeah.
So. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. And I'm just super thankful for it, and thankful for the opportunity. So we're going to conclude. So thanks you.
Thanks, Riker.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Have a good one. We'll see you.
Yeah. Bye.